Hello YouTube, and happy Video Monday. For those of you who are finding this channel for the very first time, I'm Teshia. I'm a holistic nutritionist and a yoga teacher, and for over 10 years now, I've been pouring my heart into helping people become their happiest and healthiest selves, essentially. So today, I want to talk to you guys about gut health, because I have noticed that this area of our health is stressing people out, and nobody seems to know where to begin in terms of resolving whatever symptoms it is that they're dealing with. So when it comes to your gut health, the main thing to know is that sometimes, yes, there is an infection or an overgrowth, and that needs to be taken care of. But sometimes the issue can be a lot simpler to solve. So the first step, no matter what symptom you're experiencing, whether it's bloating or constipation or heartburn, the first step is to look at your diet. If you are eating a processed foods heavy diet and you're drinking alcohol every night and you're drinking caffeine all day in order to prop yourself up, there is a problem with this, right? And this is going to be causing inflammation to rise. This is going to be causing, you're going to be feeding the negative or the unbeneficial bacteria in your system. You could also be causing autoimmune reactions because you're eating foods that you're sensitive to or allergic to. So the first step is to look at your diet and to basically begin eating a whole foods based diet. That means vegetables, healthy fats. It means fish and eggs and meat, organic. If you do eat those foods, it means eating fruits, all the real foods, whole foods, nothing from a box, nothing from a package. That's the place to start. Also, look at your lifestyle. If you are sleeping 3 hours a night, if you're stressed out all of the time and in constant fight or flight, these things are also going to cause gut symptoms. This could be the cause of the bloating itself. You could be eating in a stressed out state. That can cause bloating. You could be actually degrading the lining of your stomach because of those high levels of stress. So this is the first place to look. Really be honest with yourself. Get your lifestyle in order. Get on a good, clean diet. If you're still having issues after you do that, here's the next thing I would try. Continue on that diet for sure. Don't go back to what you were doing before. So stay on the whole foods, balanced, healthy diet, getting good sleep, all that. Then add a probiotic. Now, I don't want you to add a probiotic that contains prebiotics because this can actually exacerbate symptoms in people. You could add that later, but for now, add a probiotic. A good one is one called Udo's Super 8. I like this one because I know it doesn't have prebiotics in it, and I've had a lot of clients try it and they've had no negative response to it. I have no affiliations with the company. I just have had good results with it. So that's why I'm recommending it. So add in a probiotic. Now, the reason for that is that often people don't have enough beneficial bacteria in their stomach. They just don't. Prescription medications, antibiotic use, a crappy diet, stress, all of these things can deplete those levels of good bacteria. So start by, the next step, is to add that probiotic. If you're still having symptoms, this is the next thing to try. Keep the good diet, keep the probiotic we're adding on here. The next thing you start is a digestive enzyme that also contains HCl. Hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes tend to be another thing that we don't have sufficient amounts of for a variety of reasons. So that will likely help those of you who are having the heartburn, who are having the bloating. That will at least get some of these symptoms under control. Okay, so now that you have those three things happening together, if you are still, one more thing. Another thing you can do to boost hydrochloric acid levels is to drink a little bit of lemon in your water before meals, and or apple cider vinegar in water before meals. That will help as well. So once you've done those three things, if you are still having issues, what that says to me is that you do likely have an overgrowth of some kind going on, and those steps weren't quite enough to bring it under control. So in this case, you need to go into what's called a little bit of a starvation phase, not starving your body, but starving the organisms that are in your body. So you're going to starve them and kill them, basically. So this is the next step. Now, don't get overwhelmed, because again, when you try those first three steps, you might not need to go to this next step. It's possible. So you don't know until you start. But if you find that you do, if you're still having a lot of bloating, a lot of issues, what I would suggest next is you either go on a low FODMAP diet or an anti-candida diet. Which one you choose, I would say, will depend on a few things. If your symptoms are mainly lots of bloating after eating, especially when you eat beans, broccoli, cauliflower, cruciferous vegetables, these are called FODMAPs. Especially when you eat FODMAPs, if you bloat a lot and have maybe even some pain and tremendous amount of discomfort, if that's you, I would suggest you go on a low FODMAP diet as a way of, again, starving those bad guys. If your symptoms, on the other hand, are like crazy, ferocious sugar cravings and eczema, perhaps acne, brain fog for days, these things would suggest that maybe an anti-candida plan would be better for you. So you're going to go on this specific diet next to starve off the bad guys so that you can take back control. Okay? So once you choose which of those diets is best for you, stay on it for minimum 1 month to 3 months. If after the first month you are still experiencing symptoms, what I would suggest after the first month is to test a food. So bring one of those things back in, like one of the foods that aggravated you before. And if you have a return of symptoms, then you need to go even one step further with this. Otherwise, you may have brought the balance back under enough control that you can resume, a healthy diet that includes some of those foods. But if not, you will need to go one step further, and I call that the killing phase, where you're going to introduce some antimicrobial herbs to kill off that bad bacteria. And you can use different herbs. If you do some searching on the internet, you can find some research or some information on the best herbs to kill SIBO versus the best herbs to use to kill candida. And then you would take those for a month or so, and that should be good. While you're doing that, again, you continue with the probiotic, you can continue with the HCl, and you can continue with the enzymes. So you're just essentially adding on if you need to. The other thing you could do is, if you wanted to, you could combine those last two steps. So you could go on the low FODMAP diet and take the herbs at the same time, or go on the anti-candida diet with the herbs. That would simplify things even more, and they can't hurt you if those herbs, especially if you're only taking them for a short time. So let me summarize that. I hope that wasn't too overwhelming. First step, get your diet in check, get your lifestyle in check. If you're still having issues after that, introduce the probiotic. See if that's what your body was crying for. If you're still having symptoms after that, add a digestive enzyme with HCl and perhaps some apple cider vinegar and lemon in water before your meals. If you're still having problems after all of those things, then you would move to a diet specifically for starving off SIBO, starving off Candida. Now, if you're still having symptoms after a month, or if you want to just make sure you get it under control quicker, at the same time as you introduce that specific diet to starve the bacteria, at the same time introduce a round of antimicrobial herbs. And if you need more help with which ones would be best for you, you can join my group on Facebook. It's called Teshia's Group, and I would be more than happy to sorry, there's just a pop-up on my computer here. I would be more than happy to advise you on which ones I would recommend. Okay, so I hope that's not overwhelming. I mean, it's pretty simple. And the other thing to remember is that you may not need to go to that next step. At any point, you could have a resolution to your symptoms. Last thing I want to mention, there are infections out there like H. pylori and parasites that would require basically a different form of treatment, perhaps. But mind you, the protocol is similar. So if you do these things I've mentioned, you're doing really, really well in terms of fixing whatever it is you may have had going on. Because a lot of the herbs that you take for Candida and SIBO will also kill off parasites. So after you've done all of the things I've mentioned, if you are still having problems, I think that you better do a test. You better do a comprehensive stool analysis test and find out for sure what exactly is going on, because you may have something more serious. Now, anybody could obviously do that from the beginning, but I wanted to give you these step-by-step options because, again, that is often not needed. Often the solution is much simpler than that. But if you're somebody who's been traveling the world like crazy and you've been sick many times in Bali and Mexico and in the Middle East, like I've literally gone to all of these places and had different bugs and so I know I've gone through all of this myself. And for me, I did need to do some parasite cleansing at one time, but again, that may not apply to you. So join my group, Teshia's Group. Below this video will be posted there. We can carry on a discussion. I'm happy to help you guys. I live to help people. It makes me feel really good, and I just love seeing and hearing that people are doing better. So, please join the group, and if you have questions about this, which I'm sure you will, please post them there in the group, because for some reason, I don't receive the notifications when people post questions under my videos. I've written YouTube. I've been trying to troubleshoot this for months on figuring out why that is, but honestly, I've tried everything and it's just not working. So the best thing, if you want more support from me, would be to join my group, and I'm happy to help you there. So I hope this has been helpful, guys. I know gut health stuff can be overwhelming, but it doesn't need to be. Just go one step at a time, and these things I've mentioned today will, I trust, lead you in the right direction to feeling much, much better. I don't know if you can hear that. There's screaming children in the background here. Have a great day, you guys.